Hello guys and welcome to Vlogging Project. This is Tony, and for those of you who don't know who I am, if I wear these glasses, our company is about to get roasted. And today's contender is Sony with their brand new shiny Xperia Mark II. Can you imagine the name, guys? They're thinking like it's 1950s Jaguar or something like that. Unbelievable. And the price, $1,200 essentially for a phone which features 2018 specifications, guys. So in today's video I'm going to talk about 15 reasons the Sony is behind of the game, but in terms of pricing they're actually ahead of the game, guys. So without further ado, let's get it on, shall we? Alright guys, so before I even start this video, a huge disclaimer over here. Actually, I'm a big Sony fanboy. My TV is Sony, my Bluetooth speakers are Sony, I recently got the PlayStation Vita, I've got all the PlayStations, but when it comes down to phones, I'm being very realistic with you guys. I had the latest Xperia flagships a few months after release because usually the price drops with like 50%. I recently reviewed the Xperia 5, the Xperia 1, and I was the first one on the internet, can you imagine, to feature the Xperia L4, guys. They're brand new, cheap-ish phone, and that's a little bit weird because apparently with the L4 they forgot to send a free review samples to the YouTubers, that's why nobody else have that. But with the case of the Xperia Mark II, they didn't. They sent them early review devices and they just lifted the embargo today. So all of the reviews that you're gonna see in the next, I think, about a month are going to be sponsored reviews one way or another, guys. And that's why I felt, obligated to come and talk to you guys and tell you why this phone is stuck in 2018 and why you shouldn't waste your money on this particular phone. I've got 15 very good reasons for that, and I've got a pretty good explanation and I did my research. So hear me out. Reason number one is the fingerprint reader. The main reason that I got rid of the Xperia 1 and the 5 was the broken fingerprint reader, which didn't work properly, guys. Simple as that. And Sony finally fixed it apparently, but again, it is on the side over here. It is not under the glass, guys, which means that Sony is still stuck in 2018 on that matter. By the way, face unlock, they removed face unlock with Android 10. They had some issues with Xperia 5 and 1, so no wonder if the Mark II doesn't have any kind of face unlock, considering that other companies like Samsung, like Apple, they've got a very sophisticated, face unlock systems, this and that. Sony just ignores that for years, guys. The next reason Sony is behind the curve is their fast charging. Can you imagine that with the Mark II they introduced a 21-watt fast charging, guys? I always laugh when I hear 21-watt or 18-watt fast charging. Oppo with their Find X in 2018 introduced 60 watts. Can you imagine, guys? 35 minutes for 100%. The Sony, we're looking at about 2-hour mark, which is again behind the competition. Even Huawei with the Mate 20 Pro had fast charging like a year and a half ago, so they recharge 4,200 milliamp hours in an hour and a half, and Sony about 2 hours, still behind the game. At least they finally introduced wireless charging. However, it is slow once again. Their wireless charging is just 11 watts. Guys, considering that the OnePlus 8 Pro features a 30-watt wireless charging. Can you imagine the difference? 3 times the difference. Also, they don't have a reverse wireless charging. Now let's talk about storage options. Their top model is going to be 256 gigabytes, guys. Now the Galaxy S20, for example, have 512 gigs already, and the Smartisan R1 that I recently reviewed was released in 2018 and it had 1 terabyte of storage. So again, in terms of storage, yes, it does have a memory card slot, but it's still behind the game in terms of on-board storage. Which brings me to the next reason, 8 gigs of RAM. Can you imagine? The S20 has 16 gigs of RAM, guys. The Xperia, 8, that's it, you can't go over that. Why? Now let's talk about the cameras, a trio of 12 megapixel setup. Over here guys, the main camera is the brand new Sony IMX557. No other phone has that camera, but it's still a 12 megapixel unit with Carl Zeiss optics or lens or whatever they call it. All it is I've got the same glasses over here, Zeiss, not Zeiss. I know very well what is the German pronunciation about it. It is Zeiss. Take it or leave it, guys. So they've got a coating, Carl Zeiss coating on top of their camera, nothing else, which helps with the reflections in the sunlight. That's it. Also, this 12 megapixel camera is not capable in 8K recording, guys. You might not need 8K at the moment, but Samsung already have that, so Sony is behind the curve once again. The ultra-wide camera is just 12 megapixels, guys. Is this Sony IMX363, essentially the same camera from the Pixel 3, but this time converted to ultra-wide. Now, Sony themselves already made 48 megapixel ultra wide angle cameras, so they're not giving you the latest and greatest over here. Now with the telephoto camera, again only 12 megapixels, guys, no periscope, no proper 10 times optical zoom or anything like that. Essentially is the same camera, telephoto camera, as the Xiaomi Mi 10 Pro, which is fine, but again it is not the best. By the way, that is the Samsung S5K3T2 sensor. Can you imagine? Samsung lens into the Sony phone. And the other Samsung lens is the selfie camera, guys. 8 megapixel selfie camera, the same one, can you imagine, the same one as the Xperia L4 and the Xperia L3, which I'm checking my notes on, which means pretty much that the same low quality 8 megapixel camera you can find in their cheapest model and into their flagship model, guys. This is absolutely not acceptable, and you don't have 4K recording on this camera. And again, it is a Samsung camera. Let me see the exact precise model, ISOCELL S5K4H7. If you Google that, you'll see that phones like the Yumi Digi have this 8 megapixel camera, which okay. And the other thing is about the screen, 6.5 inches. This is the smallest screen of all flagships at the moment. Granted, it is a true 4K screen. I really like their smart resolution changing while gaming. You're using the phone in 1080p essentially, and while the content requires that, the resolution gets bumped to 4K. Really clever, nobody else is doing that. However, it is exactly the same screen as the last year's Xperia 1, guys. In terms of resolution, Sony has been doing 4K screens since the Z5 Premium, XZ Premium, Xperia 1, Xperia 1 Mark II from 2015 pretty much. So the 4K resolution is not new to them, and you don't have 90 Hz, you don't have 120 Hz, you don't have 144 Hz, you don't have higher touch sensing as well. This is the, let me show you guys, let me show you. Sharp Aquos are 120 Hz. The price of this phone is about 150 pounds, something like that, and the brand new Sharp has 240 Hz screen once again. So although Sony has one of the best screens, they're again behind the curve in terms of refresh rate. And the final reason that the Xperia Mark II is behind of the game is their color options. Black and purple, pretty much the same as the Xperia 1. So you want something fresh, you want something new, you're not gonna get that. So yeah, overall $1,200 is absolutely ridiculous. I heard that the price is going to be 1,200 euros and probably about 1,000 pounds, guys, which is a complete rip-off considering that the competition features newer technology, better cameras. And by the way, about the cameras, the new manual mode, this and that, think about it. How many real photographers are using their phones for cameras? Nobody, pretty much. And the other thing is that the successful formula is Apple's way, Google's way. Pretty much one touch shot. You touch the screen, you got the perfect photo. And the other thing is that no matter what photo you take with any phone, if you want to make it look a little bit more professional, you gotta spend like 2 hours in Photoshop to make it look better. So the manual mode capabilities and argument is totally out of the window at the moment, guys. It's targeted for a very niche group which doesn't represent the average consumer. So this is a bad strategy that LG and Sony are already proven to be wrong pretty much. So there's absolutely no point of going there. And I don't remember if I mentioned in the beginning of the video, because I did a few takes already, is that Sony has a declining smartphone sales ever since the Z3, guys. They've been going on a steep hill like that, and the numbers are very poor in 2020. No wonder why. So if you ask me, if you really want the 21:9 experience, get the Xperia 1 from last year. It's still a very good phone, and it costs a little bit over, or maybe about 300 pounds for a like new unit. Don't waste your money. I mean, you can see what's going on here. 300 pounds for Xperia 1 and over 1000 for the Mark II. It doesn't make any sense. And by not buying their phone, this is the best way of showing them that they have to improve, because we all love Sony products. We want them to improve, and that's the only way to show them that we want Sony to step up their game and in 2021 to feature some new tech. Not only to catch up, but for them to invent something new, something nice, and something exciting, guys. And the dynamic vibration is not one of them, by the way. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. Subscribe to Vlogging Project if you haven't already, and see you in the next one. Adios.